First Report is next with Grant Mangan and the news team. Then at 8:30 we continue the evening's entertainment with tonight's movie here on CTV.
He's back.
As from this morning, you're officially relieved of your duties. Sacked, suspended.
You forget I'm on leave. Leave? Yes, sir, special leave. You made that quite clear this morning.
Nonsense, Callan.
Really?
You're not going anywhere, Callan.
Do you want to bet the rent on that?
You want a passport by Saturday, it's going to cost you a century. And that's cheap, believe me. See, I haven't got many friends.
And he's in trouble. Callan, Sunday at 8:30 on CTV.
Master Valet Dry Cleaning Time. Servicing Christchurch for 4 generations.
Good evening and welcome to First Report. In the news tonight, top jobs stay at the expense of Sunnyside's adolescent unit. A West Coast school says goodbye to 5 teachers, their jobs lost through bulk funding. And we scale new heights in dining out when we meet a bunch of social climbers.
There's going to be no etiquette. There's no table manners and there's no butler.
More of that frivolity later. Good news today for Elwyn and Lynn Williams of Rangiora. You may remember our item last night about them finding hand grenades in the garden. Well, the Army has declared their garden a safe zone. Army engineers found lots of old nails and scraps of metal, but no more bombs. Looks like Elwyn and Lynn will have to go back to laying the driveway again. How many managers does it take to run the public health service? The answer? According to a growing number of critics, a lot more than it used to.
Dr. Morgan Fahey is sick of having to deal with a health service where the word service gets more of a joke every day. He says the high standards of care he was taught to offer his patients is being undermined by today's new look health system, geared not to patients but to its managers.
Hospitals are overmanaged. There are too many managers compared with number of doctors, compared with the number of nurses. They're diminishing the number of doctors and nurses who can provide help. They're appointing more managers. There's something like over 70 managers now for the Area Health Board here. When I was a house surgeon 30 years ago, for the same number of hospital beds, there was something like 4 managers. Something is wrong somewhere.
Sunnyside staff produced a report claiming the board could save up to $1.5 million by dumping unneeded management positions, which the board did. Then they rehired them all. Some as unit managers, that's another word for charge nurses, and some as service managers. What does a service manager do?
The original function for the service manager was to spend half of their time on clinical supervision, approximately 50%, and the other 50% of their time they would spend on management duties.
And what do they spend their time on?
It seems apparent since their inception that most of the time has been spent on the restructuring of the mental health services, and there has appeared to be very little clinical supervision of the services.
So is that a loss of service?
It would certainly appear to from the staff on the ground who frequently asked, what the service manager's function is, yes.
The board gets very defensive over claims they're squandering public funds on overmanaging the health system. The managerial lineup might look impressive, but of the 98 managers' jobs advertised since the creation of the Area Health Board, the board says only 20 were not already employed by them.
The board's percentage that's dedicated to management and administration is 5% of our budget, and that compares extremely favourably with other boards throughout New Zealand, and it compares very favourably with the international standards. I understand that talking of Canada and in the United States, you're talking of something like 12 or 14%.
And they've agreed to a joint study together with other health staff to examine the growing perception that while it's lean time for health services, it's boom time for health managers. But when that gets underway, no one knows. A start date has yet to be set.
The Secondary Teachers Union is to take the government to court over the staff cuts in secondary schools. The PPTA says that hundreds of teachers will lose their jobs. But schools have already begun telling teachers who will be made redundant. Earlier this week, Greymouth High School became the first to lay off teachers. It faces a falling roll next year of 35 fewer pupils, but has decided to sack 5 of its staff.
Greymouth High School has 42 full-time teachers. In deciding who was to go, the Board of Trustees had to go by an Education Department formula using teachers' code numbers, not names. Even they didn't know where the axe would fall. It's been a traumatic procedure and the board believes it will cost the school.
It generally means a narrowing of the range of subjects that can be taught, which particularly in a rural school like Greymouth doesn't help. And it really comes back to the range of curriculum things that the kids can be taught and areas where it may have to be reduced.
How does the board feel about this whole situation?
Well, it would be fair to say that the board feels very bitter about the whole thing. But particularly we don't know what is in the future. There's been a lot of talk in the past about reduction of ratios of students to teachers and an improvement in that area, and in fact it hasn't happened.
Is this current policy in Greymouth High School's best interests?
Not at all, no.
The 5 teachers will not receive redundancy. They'll be paid to stay on for another 12 months or until they get other jobs.
The court in Nelson today lifted the order to suppress the name of the man charged with the murder of Anne Urquhart. He is 49-year-old James Herbert Dahlberg, and the police say he was the dead woman's estranged husband. He appears again in court next week. It looks like there'll be more anxious weeks ahead for people living near Mona Vale. The Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment today announced another delay before a decision's made on the site for the new Christchurch railway station. New Zealand Rail's first choice was behind Mona Vale, but the locals kicked up such a fuss that the whole process is now thoroughly bogged down in environmental assessments.
This is where New Zealand Rail is now, and this is where it'd like to be. But the neighbours don't want a railway station here, and neither does the school. But opposition just about stops there. There's still a lot of people around the city who agree with railways, that it's a perfect spot for visitors to arrive and depart the city. There are other possible sites for the railway station, over a dozen in fact. Railways has literally millions of dollars of real estate around the city that it wants to quit. But it has to wait till an Auckland consultancy decides which bit of real estate is best for the new station. Meantime, public submissions on sites have been so detailed that there have to be yet more meetings, followed by more analysis, followed by narrowing down the number of options, then a review, but hopefully by the end of the year an actual decision. And pigs my fly, Grant.
Just as long as they don't land outside my front door, Lee. The government has banned the high-strength dosage of Halcion, the sleeping pill that was recently banned in the United Kingdom. Halcion has side effects of amnesia, drowsiness and addictiveness associated with high dosages and long-term use. Over 13 million tablets of Halcion are prescribed in New Zealand each year. The bulk of them, more than 9 million, are in the form of the strong dosage that has just been banned. Doom and gloom around the rest of the country today as the latest figures on business confidence were released. But apparently not here in Canterbury. The Canadian High Commissioner was in town to talk trade, and he reckons business here seemed pretty buoyant.
Staff at the Quality Inn say this is a view that sells. Mostly to wedding parties, but today to businessmen from round the region, keen to hear about opportunities in Canada. Despite this morning's headlines, the Commissioner found us an optimistic lot.
And I find the business people here absolutely exciting. They're eager, they're enthusiastic, and they're obviously very thorough about their business. They're very accustomed to dealing in the world market, and we look forward to doing a lot more business in the future.
You know that apparently the business community here is supposed to be very pessimistic about the future. Is that the impression you've got?
I haven't had that impression. Certainly the people we've been talking to, there are those who do acknowledge that their businesses have been slow, but the overall impression one gets is that they're very enthusiastic and they're just ready for any new opportunities that there may be there.
In the last few weeks, you may have noticed people from South Power hanging around your shopping malls. Don't be alarmed. It's not a public relations effort to make you feel good about your power bill. All they want to do is take a look at your household appliances, and particularly your electric blankets. So far, South Power's tested 250 blankets, but the bad news is 120 of those have proved faulty. Some have been over 30 years old and are being tested for the first time. South Power is warning that the average life of an electric blanket is 15 years tops. In Texas, 22 people were shot dead in a cafeteria by a truck driver after he drove his truck through the cafe window and started shooting. Another 20 people were wounded. The man then shot himself. The massacre happened in Luby's cafeteria in the city of Killeen. Nelson Mandela, president of the African National Congress, says New Zealand and South Africa should resume playing rugby and cricket against each other. Mr Mandela says the contact would help the peace process. But in New Zealand, the Heart organisation says Mr Mandela's comments are conditional on rugby becoming completely integrated first. If you're travelling in the South Atlantic, watch out for a rogue iceberg. The berg covers 8,000 square kilometres. That's about as big as the province of Taranaki. And it broke away from the Antarctic ice pack 2 months ago. It's about 700 kilometres southeast of the Falklands and is heading north at a rate of 15 miles a day. It's presumably looking for a summer holiday. After the break, we meet some record breakers. The party, which had a picnic on a pinnacle.
What were the forces helping to shape Europe in the Middle Ages from the outside? And among them, what was the part played by Islam?
Even today, the battle between Christianity and Islam is bitter. In medieval times, it was horrific.
The Crusades had a very seamy side, and it's not really surprising that in Arab countries they're often seen as the first wave of Western colonialism.
Triumph of the West looks at history's two most powerful religions, Sunday.
Looking for a water tank, a septic tank, pumping chambers, how about a precast pumice chimney, or even a farm trough? For over 45 years, McKendry's have been the recognised specialists in precast concrete for private use and for industry, and they're still going strong. If you're building on a rural section, McKendry's have a special package deal for you. McKendry's, better variety, better deals. Phone them on 338 3801. Crompton's Bathroom Bonanza is here. Everything to make your bathroom beautiful is now at bargain prices. Save up to $100 on Socolo ceramic disc bathroom taps. The Caroma dual flush uniset toilet system, seat and pan from just $229. San Michelle Midas vanity units only $389. Save over $400 on Englefield Cabana shower cubicles, and the Englefield Gondola Spa bath is down to $979. HMC 344 ceramic disc chrome sink faucets $123, and the White Felton Mix Regal Overbath shower unit is just $159. There are heaps more specials in Crompton's Bathroom Bonanza, now on at Chewham Street and in Victoria Street, Rangiora. When you're looking for timber, there's one team that delivers it all, Mike Cairns Discount Timber. They're committed to giving you the best timber at the best prices, with a great range of fencing and outdoor timbers in the lengths you need. And Mike Cairns Discount Timber have the tradesmen on staff to help you make the right choice. Mike Cairns Discount Timber. Great timber, great prices, great team. You'll find them on the corner of Lunds and Curlitz Roads.
Ben Rundle, Canterbury Communications Centre. The unit and cordless phone. Reliable, simple to use, 10-number memory, works during power cuts, with a full 12-month warranty. Great value at $299, but now only $249. While stocks last.
Colin Myers, GP. Tahana Waipuri Voigovic, teacher. Parla Tafalele, student.
These New Zealanders have a special faith shared worldwide, the Baha'i faith. All Baha'is are working together for world unity.
Graham Stevenson, farmer. Jenny Hinden Miller, writer. Ephraim Tapar, Maori elder.
What brings such diverse people together? The Baha'i faith. Unity in diversity.
Rock Hudson plays a character who loves the fast lane, but things go from bad to worse. You'll definitely need your handkerchiefs for this one.
And I think Dr. Phillips died so that he could live.
Yes, what a complete waste.
Mrs. Phillips.
Please don't start a scene.
I'm only trying to tell you that...
Look out!
She'll never see again, thanks to you. Write a check for that, Mr. Merrick.
Magnificent Obsession, tonight's movie.
Oh, here we are again, darling.
In June 1989, 4 world records were broken. Records for the world's highest, coldest, shortest and driest dinner party. 6 social climbers broke the records by climbing to the summit of Peru's highest mountain and having a dinner party.
It is a golden rule never to ask more than one prima donna at a time. Prima donnas like to dominate the table and are apt to sulk in the presence of each other.
I haven't got my hair on yet. Don't want to clash? Yeah, that's great.
They either remain silent or they try to score points off their rival.
They all said we'd never be high above the clouds at sea, looking down upon the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, dinner is ready. Would you please take your places now?
Angels chorus sang our song, heaven's choir they sang along, the day we went to heaven for high tea. Prepare the food.
Excellent. Oh, that's very good. Very good indeed. I'll just, is it chilled? Yeah. Room temperature, sir. -20? Around about that.
Oh, no thanks, mate. No, should be all right.
Right, I see.
Well, no, I'm not really fanciful of the wine myself. Much prefer a beer. This local brew's not a bad drop, actually. Gets a bit of a head at altitude, though. That's the problem.
Oh, thank you very much. Alcohol affects you at altitude, sir.
Well, I bloody well hope so.
Valentine's gone down a crevasse. Do take care of the wine, Valentine. We take
Save
that
the
very
last
much.
drop, well done.
Sorry, madam.
I would like some, thank you.
In the glass, if possible.
You can definitely keep your wine. Done well, Valentine.
Thanks especially for this dinner.
How has it been prepared?
With tender, loving care, madam.
You were nervous.
I was weak.
Expedition organiser and author Chris Darwin has now written the book about the expedition. He's called it The Social Climbers. Chris, have you been to any good dinner parties lately?
That's a loaded question for you. Yes. We've just written this book about the world's highest dinner party, which I think you've just seen some footage of the rehearsal one.
Mm-hmm. Well, how did you actually cope not having the butler for that final dinner party?
Oh dear. Actually, the final dinner party, which I don't think you've got any footage of, but it was actually minus 37 degrees, blizzard. There was no scenery at all. It was complete whiteout, and 2 of us getting hypothermia. The red wine had frozen, and the food had been mistakenly eaten by the Peruvian porters. And so the lack of a butler didn't really seem to matter too much, especially when you've got hypothermia.
In that earlier footage, it all looked hysterically funny, but one of the things that comes out in your book is the fact that there were lots of things that went wrong, like you're mentioning now, hypothermia. And I understand you were also attacked by guerrillas in Peru, or there was the risk of that.
Well, there was, yeah, very much. Well, I mean, the Shining Path were blowing up everything on either side of us. In fact, you always knew when you were eating a good restaurant, because in fact the proprietor would always boast about how many bomb attacks he'd had. It was almost like the Egon Rooney guide to Peru is how many times he'd been blown up.
How did that expedition then, with all its little problems and pitfalls, actually affect your friendship with your fellow climbers? Are they still talking to you 2 years later?
Well, I think, what you're alluding, I know you've read the book, and obviously you know there are a lot of, there's a lot of friction, but in many ways it was as a result of the stress of the expedition and the effects of altitude. And I think everybody slightly looked at the expedition as if it was not a real part of life. It was like a little section out of their lives. And the majority of people came back, and we all see each other, apart from 2 people. We all get on very well now. I mean, there are, some problems have sort of continued at sea level, but the majority have evaporated.
Now, why is it that it's taken 2 years for you to write the book about the expedition? Did you want to distance yourself from it before you wrote it, or is there another reason?
No, not really. It was really just practicalities of writing a book and trying to make a living at the same time, because I'm a waiter, so you know, you can't write the book all day long. You got to work and survive. The tables have turned on me. One second we're at the top of the mountain being waited on, the next doing the waitering.
Chris, how did established climbers react to, if you don't mind my saying so, a group of hack amateurs climbing up the tallest mountain in Peru, dragging up Louis XIV tables and chairs, and really making the whole thing look like some sort of joke? Was there any adverse reaction from professional climbers?
Well, I got one letter from one professional who I tried to get along the expedition. He said, "Dear Chris, to have a dinner party on the top of Peru's highest mountain is as ridiculous as climbing Everest in sandals."
You were nervous,
I was weak.
trembling voice.
I couldn't speak.
When we got together at the peak. But I think it's very strange how a girl can quickly change when she's up in heaven at high tea. Why did you have to turn away? Boys and girls were meant to play. Dreams all melted, love just blew away. We could both have flown so high, like the angels in the sky, but the devil tempted you away from me. Funny how he was my friend, saved me from you in the end, the day we went to heaven for high tea. The day we went to heaven for high tea.
The expedition took place in June of 1989, and what we saw in that footage was a dress rehearsal that took place on one of the second highest mountains in Peru. The final dinner party, which lasted 10 minutes, took place on the highest mountain in Peru, somewhere around 25,000 feet. It was actually in a blizzard, and the wine had frozen. After the break, the Red Cross comes to the rescue with a shaggy dog story.
A Great Love begins for Ryan O'Neill and Ally McGraw.
You put down anything in pants, but verbal volleyball is not my idea of a relationship.
Love grows from strange beginnings.
How can you see me and still love me?
That's what it's about, Preppy.
If you marry her now, I'll not give you the time of day.
And love triumphs. For a while, Love Story, Saturday at 8 on CTV.
What do you call a ladder at the top of a hill? A miracle.
Why do ladders have heated rear windows? To keep your hands warm when you're pushing them. I'm Murray Costello. After 27 years in the car industry, I can tell you, ladder is no joke. Ladders are tough, they're made to last, they're safe, and on today's market, they represent excellent value for money. So why not have the last laugh with Ladder or Hyundai?
You'd have to go a long way to beat the service you get at Antrim Exhaust Services, but you only have to go as far as Birmingham Drive to get it. Antrim Exhaust Services, corner of Birmingham Drive and Hands Road, the firm that's not afraid to say it's the best.
Turn it on, face this way. You're gonna like us, we put more business your way. Advertising you can afford. Creativity and a whole lot more. Give me a C, give me a T, give me that CTV. Cost effective, cheaper, quicker by far. On a flight, every day and night. CTV.
Racing fans, for all the latest news, views and information, be sure to catch Horsepower Racing Preview Fridays at 7 on CTV. Racing personalities give you an inside view of the galloping and harness racing world, and we preview upcoming meetings. The Horsepower Racing Preview Show, Fridays at 7 on CTV.
Next month, BP Challenger Tennis Tournament to be held in Christchurch has attracted a long list of entries. Top of the list is Mark Kratzmann, one of the world's top doubles players. He's also reached a ranking of 50 in the world for singles. Kelly Evenden and Brett Stephen are the only New Zealand players who are eligible for the tournament, though some others may get a wildcard entry. The tournament begins at the Ferry Road Indoor Tennis Centre on November the 11th. The publicity says his sparkling eyes and nonchalant smile give no clue to the effort involved in his huge tiger leaps, monkey springs and crouches, and arcs of dolphin playfulness. He's Vivek Kinra, world-acclaimed Indian classical dancer. And this afternoon we caught up with him rehearsing for a concert this evening.
Indian-born Vivek Kinra has performed all over the world. He's danced for audiences of over 1,000, but now lives in Wellington and teaches at the Govinda School of Dance and Music. Tonight, Vivek will perform a charity concert in the Great Hall at the Arts Centre.
If you ever happen to get lost in the great outdoors, it's likely to be a dog that comes to your rescue. For more than a year now, the Red Cross has had a search dog unit that responds to emergencies all over the South Island. And today, the dog's got some flash new wheels. The search dog unit currently has 2 qualified dogs and trainers, with 6 more still to pass their exams. But thanks to an anonymous donor, a bank and a car dealer, they now have a specially kitted out vehicle complete with radio and first aid equipment. A kitted out vehicle for dogs. It's a nice touch. In fact, that was a very nice shaggy dog story, rather like our weather forecasts. Campbell?
Well, that's a bit unkind, Grant. Nice to see those car dealers giving things away. Well, it is nice to see them giving things away. Well, today it was lovely and warm and almost soporific, which means sleep making, and I'm doing my best to keep awake. Amberley, 23, Christchurch, once again 24, and we missed out on that southerly, but never mind, it's going to be on tomorrow, they told me. Darfield, 21, Ashburton, 24, and in the other centres, Auckland had a miserable 17, Wellington 17, and Dunedin enjoyed similar temperatures with 23. Forecast for Christchurch City, it's going to be a change overnight to those cool southwesters and with a few showers, but it's going to be becoming fine in the afternoon, just the sort of weather we like in the springtime. And the same on the plains, those cool southwesters will be spreading north this evening and mainly fine inland tomorrow. The city low tonight will be 9 and the high tomorrow, 15. Forecast for the other centres, if you're travelling away, if you're going over the west coast, a few showers and fine periods tomorrow with some southwesters. Auckland, rain and southwesterlies, 19 degrees. Wellington, rain and a southerly change, 16. Dunedin, showers and southwesters, 14. And as it's Thursday, we haven't unfortunately got a full ski report for you tonight, but due to factors beyond our control. But we can tell you that Temple Basin has good skiing on a 2.2 metre base with new snow this week and expect to stay open for another month. Back to you, Grant.
Thanks, Campbell. I don't want to give you the impression that I'm ungrateful, but what happened to that sou'wester that you were forecasting today?
It just is on hold, and as I say, it's going to be with us tomorrow.
Is that a promise?
Yes, no, don't ask me any more questions. I can't answer too much.
It's all too much for you, isn't it?
It is.
It is.
Soporific.
Yes. Suffer, yes, fine. That's our program. Tonight in the news, Sunnyside's adolescent unit has been closed while there's been a growth in the number of health managers. The first schools have begun sacking staff because of bulk funding, and the visiting Canadian High Commissioner says the signs of the recovery are looking good in Canterbury. And on that high note, come on, get happy. Have a good night.
What were the forces helping to shape Europe in the Middle Ages from the outside? And among them, what was the part played by Islam?
Even today, the battle between Christianity and Islam is bitter. In medieval times, it was horrific.
The Crusades had a very seamy side, and it's not really surprising that in Arab countries they're often seen as the first wave of Western colonialism.
Triumph of the West looks at history's two most powerful religions, Sunday.
Have you got something to sell? Perhaps you're looking to buy, to trade, to hire. Look no further. CTV Tele ads are here. Now you can broadcast your message on the world's most powerful medium. Television advertising goes classified every night on CTV. Just $25 will buy you 10 seconds of television. Just write down your ad in under 20 words, get it into us, and we'll do the rest. Call CTV on 655-505 and book your spot on CTV Tele ads.
Your life may be busy, but is it full? The Canterbury Volunteer Centre has over 300 jobs. One of them could be for you. Come on, call us at 662-442.
Used carpets bought and sold. Manufacturers and retailers of rugs and mats. Carpet Traders, 274 Colombo Street. Phone 332-6266. What do we call it? It's a new food and beverage place in Christchurch. It'll be Scottish and we need a name. Pick up an entry form from the Bailey's Bar in the Square and win a trip for two to Scotland. Michael Fittiment Limited, 407 Ferry Road, are the seatbelt specialists. They help you to make it click. Michael Fittiment Limited, phone 897-101. Golf Tee Grass Cutters, free quotes offered and a 10% special rate on the first job. Golf Tee Grass Cutters, phone 661-942. Cranford Hair Design have a perm special, $28.50 all-inclusive. Cranford Hair Design, phone 355-6734.